My name is Rob Woodbridge. I'm from UntetherTV. I am from Canada, so you might recognize my accent. If I say something, if I go too quickly, if you don't understand what I'm saying, which is quite often the fact, please put your hand up and ask me to clarify. This is a very interactive, as much as we can do in about 20 minutes, a very interactive session. I'm going to be here all day, so do not hesitate to ask me a question at any point in time. But if you vehemently oppose what I'm saying up here on the stage, if you do not believe what I'm saying, just get up, stand up very quietly, and just walk out the door. We don't have enough time for arguments today, but please, questions are good, arguments are no good. Don't do that. Stand up and scream. I'm going to talk to you about mobile payments today, and the concept that mobile payments finish last. And I just want to ask a few questions before we really get into the meat of this. We've got some great videos at the end that will kind of clarify a lot of these things. So, do you know what that is? Do you know what that looks like? That's the Indian rupee. How many people pay for things today with an Indian rupee in this room? How many people actually accept Indian rupees as payment? No? It's shocking. That's quite often. What about this? This is the Thai baht. Does anybody accept Thai baht here? Does anybody have one on them? No. What about this? I love that the specimen, just in case you took a picture of it and printed it off and wanted to go and spend it. Specimen.
Never had one of those.
So the euro, you all have euros in your pocket? You all accept euros, right? Is that, you all pay with euros? Have you ever gone to, say, Canada and tried to spend a euro? No? Don't? It's not accepted in Canada. I know this is a shock, but it's not accepted in Canada. It's not accepted in the United States. Am I right? Or South America, or Africa, or Asia. Have you seen this before? The British pound? How many of those do you have in your pocket right now? You do? Yes, good. Have you tried to spend them here?
No, it's just by accident because it's been there.
Okay, so you have extra, right? Have you tried to spend them in Amsterdam? Or in Canada, the United States? They're not accepted either. In fact, you'll get quite often this look of absolute amazement and just astonishment that this is actually real currency in most of those countries. Now this, unfortunately, have you seen this before? This is the Canadian dollar with our queen. Sort of. Do you have any of these on you? Get the point? No, I do have Canadian dollars. If you want to see what they look like, they're fascinating. Don't go. Did I offend you already?
Yeah. He's from a bank.
It was from a bank.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Canadian dollars, you would anticipate would be accepted globally, right? Because we are Canadian. It's okay. We are Canadian. But even if you go past Upper New York State, when you go in from Canada into New York State or any of the bordering states, if you get anywhere within an hour distance from Canada, the Canadian dollar is like monopoly money. It's not accepted. Right? So it begs the question, what is a mobile currency? What is a mobile payment? And I would say that the most mobile of payments, and you can argue this if you want, is this. Everybody knows what that is. Am I right? Have you ever walked into a foreign country and walked up with an American dollar bill, and this isn't pro-America, but have you ever walked in with an American dollar bill and put it down and people just accept it as payment? Everywhere? Has there? Nowhere.
Egypt?
Egypt. Okay. But if you went on the street and said, I have an American dollar, I'd like to buy something, somebody would pay. Somebody would accept that. Right? The American dollar is, for me, what I would consider the most mobile, the most beautiful mobile currency on the planet. Every time. From a coffee shop in Ottawa, which is where I'm from, maybe not in Egypt, but to the black markets and the currency exchanges in India, a dollar is accepted. It's weird. But it's just, it shows you the entrenched nature of the US dollar. Now, if you look here, have you guys used ISIS before? Mobile payments by ISIS? No. Why? It's probably you haven't seen it. I've seen it on a couple of vending machines in the United States at Whiteface Mountain. That's the only place of the interaction that I've seen. Maybe an AT&T store, I think, or a T-Mobile store in the States. Have you seen this logo? Have you used it? Do you accept it? Yeah, PayPal. So another dominant platform. But I bet you, nothing compared to, have you used iZettle? Have you, no? These are your, MasterCard, you start to recognize this. There's not a place, probably on the planet, that doesn't accept Visa. I spent a considerable amount of time traveling in Southeast Asia when I was much younger, and I was told to travel with an American Express card. Who's ever done that before? Like in a remote island, like Koh Phangan in Thailand, they do not accept American Express. I'm telling you that now. So if you pull up with an American Express, it is like a foreign currency that is not accepted. It's not a mobile payment. Visa, yes. American Express, no. But all this to say that the most mobile of currencies happens as a result of adoption, user use. That is it. It's the thing that you use in your wallet every day that I have consternation, or you don't have any consternation, you don't have any concern about using it. When I come over here from Canada, there is a concern that my debit card won't work, that my credit card won't work, that the currency I'm carrying in my pocket won't be converted. But that is not a mobile currency. So these are the challenges, and I'm going to walk through a couple of examples here where I think that the way that we are approaching mobile payments is wrong, is completely off-center. And the reason that I think that is that we have followed this continuum of payments and we're trying to emulate that on a mobile device. And it's not the way that we should be doing it. These guys have it. And I'm going to walk through this in a second here. We all know what this is, right? An aspirin. Do you know what this is? Lip balm. You got chapped lips, right? You know what this is? Mint, gum. Maybe after a cup of coffee, right? You have a gum. Do you know what this is? So am I writing the right there? Yes. It's the Square reader, right? So it's a credit card swipe. You see this everywhere. And it doesn't have to be Square, it can be anybody. But you know what the commonality of all four of those things are? Do you know? So we've got aspirin, Blistex, gum, and the Square reader. The common thing in this is that they are all masking the symptom of a problem. Aspirin kills a headache, but it's probably for some other reason that you have that headache. Blistex actually moistens your lips. Why? Because you're not drinking enough damn water. You're dehydrated. Gum means you should probably not have the garlic at lunch, not drink as much coffee, or brush your teeth, right? Gum does that. And this, the Square nozzle, or whatever you want to do, the credit card swipe, just accentuates the fact that we're using mobile payments in the wrong way. Who in their right mind wants to swipe a credit card with a mobile device? That is not right. Who invented that? And why are we accepting it? We're just not thinking about mobile payments in the right way. We are not thinking about it in the right way. We're thinking of it as an aspirin, as something that is a small fix for a bigger problem. And I'm going to show you some examples of the companies that are doing it properly or on the right path. Some very unique companies from around the world. So a little bit about me. Any arguments there? Because you're allowed to stand up and argue. Please do. All right. My website is something called UntetherTV, and I implore you to go there. We talk about this stuff all the time. It is a web-based television show. I'm based out of Canada, but the entire audience is international. I interviewed from around mobile entrepreneurs and executives from around the company. There are 3 shows. I do long-form interviews, which are 40 to 45-minute interviews with seasoned mobile entrepreneurs and executives. These are free, so I'm not trying to pitch you on anything. And the topics range from Internet of Things to mobile payments to commerce, actually to, you name it, to app development as well and marketing. Daily is something that comes out called the Mobile Commerce Minute. This might be of very interest to you. It's a 2-minute daily video that unearths some amazing statistics that I'm going to bring up here as well from around the world when it comes to mobile payments and mobile commerce and mobile retail. And I do that with Chuck Martin, who's an author, and I'll quote some of his work here. And the last thing that I do is something called This Week in Location-Based Marketing. If you have any interest in the contextual world about location and marketing and how that plays into this in the mobile space, retail and even as much as travel as well, that's a podcast. It's a weekly podcast. And if you go there, and right now you can actually sign up for the mailing list, you'll get this, which is monthly research that happens through UntetherTV. I've interviewed 550 mobile entrepreneurs around the world, and every month I ask them a question, and they give me the results, and then I put it into a format. So it's a monthly research that's pretty relevant on the mobile space, and this is our latest one. All right, so This is a staggering statistic. $508 billion will throw through mobile in 2014. That is an incredible amount of money, and this is actually validated by Juniper. This is global. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be just in payments. That means that somehow, some way, some form of payment happens as a result of mobile. That can be through the mobile web, it can be through apps, it can be through anything that involves it. It can also be money transferring, and bill paying, which they've lumped into here. They haven't lumped into travel. So it is obviously a large piece of money that is going to be flowing through mobile. And it's just, for the majority of that, that's a natural extension or replacement of how we've done it before. Instead of taking cash out of your pocket and giving it to somebody, you're sending them a PayPal request or sending them PayPal funds. Instead of paying your bill, your hydro bill or your electricity bill, you're doing it through your device. So $508 billion is a lot of money, no doubt about it. The problem is that this is what the landscape looks like. So when you want to get into the mobile payment space, and if you're a company trying to figure this out, you got to navigate through this. You got to navigate through payment processors. You got to navigate through credit cards, card associations, online and store payment mechanisms. It's confusing. Not only that, it starts to get even more confusing when you start to layer on top of all the services that are on top of all of the payment processing. And not only that, it's even more challenging when you've got this. Consumer trust, right? Where are you and where are the companies that you're using on the consumer trust factor? When they see Visa, there's a lot of trust for Visa. When they see MasterCard, there's a lot of trust for MasterCard. There's a lot of trust for big companies, and this is the incumbent competitive nature of payments. They've been doing it forever. How many people have used their credit card to actually pay for a telephone call and then almost immediately have their credit card suspended because it wasn't in your normal realm of use? That's what the credit card companies do. So you're fighting against a huge number of companies and then a huge number of incumbents with a lot of trust. So this is interesting from you guys, is that 30% of Europeans use their phone to shop every single day from everywhere. This is a company called Trade Dublin that did this. Momentum in mobile payments. You guys, everybody wants to use these devices, but most of us want a driver's license on our mobile device, not a mobile wallet. We can't get the right things. We're trying to find a way to drive people to use a mobile wallet, get them something that they want. The majority of people don't want a mobile wallet to have a payment mechanism. They want their driver's license. So start with a driver's license. And then 39% of us would actually rather have an app that starts a car than makes a payment. Fundamentally, nobody wants a mobile wallet. Fundamentally, there hasn't been a good enough reason yet to want to make a mobile payment. But we do want our driver's license and we do want to start our car. That's the difference. So on one side, you've got consumers demanding something. On another side, you've got people giving them what they don't want. Who would rather start their car than make a mobile payment? I gotta keep thinking that. It's the best thing. I've lost keys. They cost $300 to replace keys for my car. I want to be able to start my car. But then again, maybe I want to buy the replacement key from my mobile device as well. So the biggest barrier, the top barriers are, as we know, speed and complexity. Has anybody done a mobile payment? True mobile payment with a device? How many percentage? Put your hands way up. Don't be shy. How many have done a second mobile transaction? How many use it all the time, as often as they can? And just out of curiosity, you seem to be using it a lot. What's your experience with it?
I will share after your question.
Okay, good. Yes. Yes. That's good. The general experience, maybe to a knowledgeable crowd, knowledgeable user, is good at best. But it's not as good as simply taking out another card, a debit card or a credit card, and tapping. Right? So the complexity and the speed is the challenge. Somebody did a study on the speed of using a mobile payment system versus just using a credit card or a cash or debit card, and it took 4 times longer to do it on a mobile device. Now, and there are instances where mobile is perfect for this, a mobile payment. Think about an in-aisle purchase opportunity where you don't want to stand in line, and the opportunity, there's an Edmonton company, it's a company that does makeup, Edmonton, Alberta, where they had an anniversary sale. They knew that it was going to be jammed. So what they did is they created a mobile application that allowed for in-aisle payment, so that instead of people waiting to go to the cash to pay, they could actually pay in their aisle. And they saw a 75% uplift in the mobile app downloads. 30% of all the transactions in that day were from the aisle as opposed to going in. It's a very innovative way that saves people time instead of waiting in line. So there, a 4 times difference of processing a credit card payment versus waiting for 20 minutes in line. There's an absolute benefit to doing it. You see these little pieces coming up. So the problem with it being the barrier is this. This is research done by Chuck Martin. Is that this is the mobile purchase life cycle. And the fact that we're sitting in this room talking about mobile payments is a very unique thing, because mobile payments is the outcome of everything else that you do to drive people to pay. It's not the direction, it's not the destination. Mobile payments should never, ever, ever be the focus unless you are in that business. Mobile payments should be the result of a lot of hard work to get somebody to go in there and buy the product. The last thing you want people to do is to think about paying. Because that's when the human brain gets involved, and the human brain sucks because it's rational sometimes, right? You go and sleep on a purchase that's over $100. Look, the thing that we want to be able to do with mobile payments is make it friction-free. So the idea that we're talking about mobile payments in isolation is difficult to do to begin with, because when you talk about the mobile purchase cycle right now, there are this many pieces in it, and mobile payments is only one, and it's the last piece before you create a relationship with somebody. And think about your experience. Have there been times when you've gone and made a payment and that it just left you with a bad taste in your mouth, thinking that it was too much of a hustle, it's not what I wanted, I got forced into it, I paid too much? Buyer's remorse. The last thing you want to do is focus on the payment. And this is why, the mobile purchase life cycle. So we cannot define payments on the same continuum as cash. There should never be a concern. There should never be a natural transition. This is not cash. This is something completely different than cash. It's the outcome. But it's also the great thing that we have around currency and around mobile payments is that we're now looking at broadening what a payment means and how to make a payment. So it's no longer about cash or credit or something out of your bank account. You know, some people might look at currency as a like on Facebook, or as somebody who watches a video, somebody who makes it through 3 minutes of a video. That is a currency. Somebody might look at it as, I subscribe to this thing called Patreon.com, where people actually contribute to the growth and the content that I create. It's a currency for me, and they do it in a number of ways. Some people give me a 5-star review on iTunes. That's a currency. It's no longer just about $1. Bitcoin is a currency. It's not $1. You can't define it. It's a currency. But mobile has enabled this. And so when you think about payments, you've also got to think about maybe we're going back to the bartering system. And the whole idea here is that as you've walked through this process of purchase, the key to remember is to not make the user think, not make the purchaser think. If you have this thing called cognitive overload, where you force people to think, like I have to take my device out, launch it, tap it, scan it, hold it, shine it, stand upside down, spin it around, whatever it might be, it's not as easy as it should be. You don't want people to recognize the fact that they're actually spending money. The perfect example of this is Walt Disney. This is in Florida, Disney World. They have these, which are magic bands. You stick them on the wrist, like a wearable device. These things are your life. All you have to do is when you want to enter the park, you walk up and you scan it. Have you seen these things? Has anybody been there? You scan it and it lets you in. You know, there's no lines. You don't have to give a ticket. There's no fumbling. You just walk up and you hit it and it goes in. But the big genius about this is this. Their point of sale system. So they realized that if all of their patrons at Disney World have to take out their wallet every time they want to buy something, which is how it is, you take it out, you give them your credit card, they put a hold on your credit card for the transaction to go through, then you give the credit card back, and in that moment of reaching in your pocket and giving you a credit card, there's a moment of pause, of cognition for the human that says, do I really need those ears? Do I really need that stuffed animal? And oftentimes they'll pull it away. They implemented this, which is a system of credit within Disney World. You scan it, you build an account with Disney World. When you check out, you're not allowed to leave until you pay. 400% increase in revenue. On off-site, not ticket related. I saw people while I was there with my family for the first time, I saw people walking out like with just stuff that they would never have bought. Restaurants that they would never have gone to, but they're taking the cash away. And what this does to our society in bankruptcy, who knows? But there's a company in Toronto that might be able to take this to the next level. I want to play this little video for you here. It's called the NIMI. The concept of this is that it's a wrist-borne device, and maybe that's not the right place for it. But when he woke up in the morning, all he did was authenticate it with his ECG of pulse and location. So there's 3 ways to validate it, and then he becomes an authenticated node. So wherever he goes, that's the payment piece, right? Wherever he goes, you think about Disney, it's been authenticated. The moment he takes it off, he has to re-authenticate it. So somebody chops his arm off and takes his band, nobody can have it because he has to re-authenticate it. It needs a live pulse. Authentication everywhere. But all it means is that there is very little friction to buying. He's not pulling anything out, he's authenticated. Now if you do that, think about a car the same way. When you pull into a gas station and that car has been authenticated through a device like this, all of a sudden you've got friction-free payments. Because you're in, you pay, you're authenticated, you're on your way. You have to approve, you have to say yes. But a very unique way, a very unique approach of looking at how payments can rise above the traditional way. It's still riding on the same network, but it's authentication and validation that's important. I only have time for one more example, unfortunately. But you've heard of this company, right? Amazon is amazing. Now, we don't get the services in Canada that they do get in the United States, and you don't get them here as well. But their goal when it comes to payments is really simple. They know that if they get you into their cart, they are going to get you to buy. They're not focusing on the payment. You don't go to Amazon to pay, do you? Who likes to do that? Who goes to a website to pay? So they realize, look, people may not come to the website. We're trying to get people to get their product that they want at the moment that they think they want it, at least into the cart. So they have this came up with these hashtags, which is the ability to take a tweet with a product and send it directly to your Amazon cart. You don't pay for it. You just put it in there for safekeeping. Because they know that their conversion rates are much higher when you get the product in, and then they can actually market to you based on that. So it's Amazon cart. It's literally, you retweet with that hashtag, and you've set it up with Twitter and Amazon, and it goes into your cart. Now the flip side of this, what they've also done, is they spend a lot of time with a product that enables you to get even your household goods into their cart as well. So the idea is that this little device, the Dash, you speak into it. You say, listen, we're out of ice cream, and you talk into it, or you scan a barcode, and where do you think that barcode goes? Right into your cart for easy checkout. And they have this Amazon Fresh service in certain areas of the United States where they will deliver in 24 hours. So from the time you scan to the time you get it in your front porch, it's 24 hours. All automated. All done that way. Well, well, because I think it's for people who don't have the app, or it's just another mechanism for people who don't download the Amazon app to be able to have it kicking around, like hanging on your fridge, all the time, always accessible. It's friction-free. Like, think about what you have to do with the app. Okay, I have to launch Amazon, go over here. What was it that I mean? What they're thinking is that
you always keep that thing on your pocket device you don't carry around.
but maybe your wife or your husband doesn't have the Amazon app, your kids don't have the Amazon app. So all they're trying to do is create that remove the barrier to get it in the cart so that you will buy. Right? Like, look, whatever they're doing, they're experimenting, and that's what the key is here, to be able to experiment, is that we need to be able to get them in the cart, and they understood that very clearly. So the Amazon Dash. There's a couple of other examples. I'll provide this presentation, but the biggest one is this. In Korea, they did a test on high frequency or ultra high frequency payment mechanism. So when somebody walked up to a vending machine, they had the app on their phone that had exchanged a high frequency sound, and that was acceptance for payment. Right? So when you walk up and you bought the thing, and it would basically send a frequency, and it's matched to the app on your phone, and it would transfer the funds almost immediately. So these are examples of companies that are trying to look at payments in a different way, not in the same way that we've always done it, which is exactly the way that we've exchanged money for services since money was invented. I'll give you this, you give me that. They've done this in a very easy way. So there's a couple of facial recognitions. I'm around for the whole day. The thing that you have to remember when it comes to mobile payments, and we're going to hear throughout the entire day, is that mobile payments, aside from being a technology, you cannot lead with that technology first. This is something that you can never have a destination to pay. It's a simple thing. It's that people don't go to Amazon to pay. They don't go to Disney to pull out money. They don't go to any store to pay. They go for the experience. The payment is as a result of a great experience. And if your payment processing system is cumbersome, the only thing that's going to happen is what they're calling now mobile payment abandonment rate. And that is one thing that you can avoid by not focusing on the payments. I'm here all day if you have any questions. That's my email address. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much, everybody.